Hi, Misha here, and we're out today to test fire the Tommy Built T36K Carbine. But first, thought we'd put a few rounds of the same ammo through my M+M, or I shouldn't say M+M, Michael's machines, Micot, G36K pistol. So we'll
This is the Tommy Built T36K. This is a carbine version with the extended flash hider here to make it legal. And we're going to test fire this for the very first time. This is the very first shots. And it's clear.
And now I'm going to try the T36K. Held open. G36K again. And now the T36K. Helps if I take the safety off. Held open. Okay. T36 with Wolf. Now T36 with Silver Bear. Hi, Misha here, and as I said kind of in the intro, we were taking the Tommy Built, Tom Bostic, T36 to the range for its first rounds, and this is the T36K Kurs Carbine, so it has the stock, and it has the extended prong hider. Okay, we have some mixed results. First, the good. The gun appears well built. Here's my original, which you also saw shooting a little bit. This is kind of a control. To keep in mind, this also has this is a German receiver that was put back together as a semi, also by Mr. Bostic. There you go. With the T36, we had 100% reliability. We tried a couple of different types of brass as well as steel case. No issues. It was also quite light recoiling. And we had no magazine issues to speak of. The gun itself, the bolt is very smooth as far as that goes. Notice that likes to stick open. Stop it. Trigger is actually quite decent for a plastic trigger, polymer trigger. Comparing it with the original here. This one has a stiffer spring. It's not rougher, it's just a stiffer spring. Trigger's about the same. Maybe a slightly heavier on this one. This is all original military, but very, very similar. So reliability was good. We weren't really testing for accuracy aside from, you know, just shooting at close range targets. But we have noticed a few oddities. For one, this front screw, there's 3 of these that hold a top rail on a G36 SLA type, fell out during shooting or right after. Now it's just screwed on, so we presume that it just wasn't tightened and the oscillations, the vibrations loosened it. So that's really not a big deal. But it did fall out. Luckily, found that on the ground, no problems. This rail is of course polymer. Just something to know. Stop. Sorry about that, folks. Cat issue. But yeah, we have a polymer rail, polymer front sight, and we have a polymer rear. Now, I'm not much on sights. Can't imagine why. But as Jay pointed out, it's not really worth much. Very large holes, and at least in the rear position, it's going to want to go forward. Definitely an emergency sight at best. So know that. Another kind of odd issue that we noticed when this screw came out, the receiver in this area here is real, frankly, soft. I can press it in. Now it's hitting up against, but it's presumably the metal trunnion. It's probably absolutely nothing, but you know, YouTube is all about nitpicking, and anyone buying an expensive gun kind of has a right to nitpick. So the receiver feels a little soft in that area. Comparing it to this one here, it's solid. There's no flex. Now what I'm assuming is on this gun, the trunnion is right up against the receiver shell, the polymer, so there's no area for it to flex. Whereas this, maybe there's just a little bit of spacing. Probably nothing, but it's interesting. I've never really felt a receiver that much flexy. I've also noticed the butt plate is now quite loose. You know, I'm not sure. Are there screws that hold this on, guys? What holds this butt plate on? Because it's...
Don't see any.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's loose now. And I don't remember it being loose before we shot it.
Yeah.
It's not coming off, but yeah. The stock itself is tight. Trigger pack has a little play, which is normal for this gun. As I pointed out in the initial preview, the selector's fine, but it's a little less firm and positive compared to this one here. You can definitely hear that. And this one's there's just very little, it clicks between positions. Whereas this one, it's a little stiffer and a little bit mushier. Not a big deal again, but hey. And finally, on the little things, we notice this gun was only shot today. And look at the brass deflector and the top where the stock locks. It's well, it's pretty chewed up, folks. Nothing egregious. I mean, it's wear, but if you look at this one over here, which has had more rounds to it, because we've had it for several, it's not as chewed up and it's had a higher round count. Now, on to the one issue that really concerned Jay. T36 with Wolf ammo.
Have you noticed something? Less blast. So this is producer Jay here. You can see all these little red spots all over my arm. I don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, but looks like you can. But we're getting a lot of unburnt powder or burning powder or something bouncing off of this T36 and coming back on me and Misha both shooting and just taking the recording it there with the camera. So I think that is a result of this muzzle device. I think that these slots here just direct all of that powder in all directions, and a lot of it comes back on right on the shooter on your offhand there. So something to point out and mention, because it makes it quite unpleasant to shoot. I mean, the gun cycles well and the recoil impulse is nice, but you're just constantly getting flecked with hot burning sand is what it feels like. So something to be aware of that definitely might impact your shooting enjoyment of this rifle. So not something we noticed on the K pistol, on the G36K pistol at all, so we think it's probably muzzle device related.
The muzzle device. Now this is kind of a newer design. It's a 2-stage. You've got these in the back and then this up here and then the prongs. The earlier ones, and they're still available, were just straight extended prongs. What we noticed, this brake part was venting backwards, which is fine. But because of the 12.5-inch barrel, it was venting, frankly, sparks, burnt or burning powder. And it was hitting my forearm while shooting it some, and it was also hitting me while running the camera on the other side of Jay. And I definitely noticed it, and did not notice it with this here at all. But this is something that very much affected Jay's shooting experience. He found it very distracting and just kind of odd. And what it is, it seems to be just a side effect of this new kind of 2-stage device. And the reason they went to this device, the straight fork type, people were complaining about too much ring, which it still has ring, but that band right there is supposed to lessen the ring. And it probably does, I'm sure it does. But it seems to also maybe increase blowback or blast. And of course, since this is pin and welded on for carbine purposes, you can't just unscrew it and put something else on easily. Obviously, a gunsmith who does extensions could very easily, but there aren't a lot of options out there for this thread pattern, especially if you need one to get you out to 16 inches. So TLDR, if you're thinking between pistol and carbine, just know that you might get some blast back from this device, and you may or may not find it, excuse me guys, you may or may not find it unpleasant. Just something to be aware of beforehand. I will say this, the manufacturer, his personal opinion seems to be the pistol is the way to go. That's just his opinion. Jay wanted this one because of having the stock, because it's a very iconic stock, and it's a good stock. But, yeah, that's the trade-off. Obviously, mine over here is a pistol. It has the original 4-prong, and it has a tail hook type arm brace. Also made by Tom Bostic. If you can't tell, he's pretty much the go-to, the only real guy in town for Series G, 36, SL8, USC, UMP type stuff. So I went with the pistol, and that's because this looks very much like the stock, and it's still very functional. And I like having the shorter little barrel, but that's just me. Plus mine unscrews. It's very dirty. It's on the very traditional, try to unscrew so you can see, guys, the little tines that, the splines, tines, whatever that HK uses. I like those because it means you can unscrew their devices very easily. But they don't walk off. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Really like that. So personal preference, you know, whatever you're up for. And of course, some states you're not allowed to have a pistol. So it's definitely good that they are offered as a carbine. And of course, you need to be 18 to own a carbine, but 21 for a pistol. So different considerations, but something that hasn't seemed really had to be addressed. So just, you know, for your information there. So kind of in closing, the good, 100% reliability. Well constructed, very much authentic. These are mostly American parts, but the odd German part might appear from time to time if they have a surplus one left over. For example, maybe a German handguard or a German trigger pack, German stock, whatever. You know, but most of the parts are going to be American, made by Bostic. Or maybe another company like GSG, I don't know. Yeah, but American anyway. So overall, that's good. This receiver is kind of, and I remember when these were coming out, there was talk about the receivers being slightly thinner than originals. And this soft area here, and the way this has started to really ding up, really has me wondered how soft it is. You know, just speculation. I'm not saying anything, but just, you know, thinking out loud. The sights, I think it's pretty safe to say, are backup sights at the very most. Last mag with the T36 Wolf.
Jeez. Sorry, it got me in the hand pretty good.